from you about a very interesting topic from you. But one thing for sure,
Miss, I think Mr. Ben just lost his connection.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Has Mr. Arif joined us again? Oh yes, I think he's back.
I clicked the wrong button. So yeah, we will have the most important thing for tonight is we learn something from you, and especially about the English, because this is an English club, and I will introduce you to some of great people here. So we are from all around Indonesia, from east to west. So, but we are in the same corporation. Tonight, our special host will lead us the discussion. Okay, without further ado, I give the mic to Nancy. Go ahead, Nancy.
Okay, it's still 4 minutes to 7, but I think it's a good time to begin, yeah, because our speaker also already joined us. So let me begin our tonight session. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our regular Tuesday Zoominar. I am super excited to have you here, excited about all the amazing conversations that we are gonna have tonight. During our session, if you are on mute, please use your body language like thumbs up, and then like clapping your hands, or using emojis available to make the session flows lively. I am Nancy, acted as a sacrificial host, and we have the duet of Zaldi and Vika as the co-host. Say hi, guys. Okay, I think they are on mute. And
hi, Nancy.
hello, Vika and Zaldi. So I'm very happy to see you all faces from previous Zoominar participants and new faces of Duta BPJS Kesehatan, especially my friends from Pati Branch Office. Hi, guys. Thank you for the support.
Hi.
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 Nancy.
We're a big fan of Nancy.
We're here. Hello, Pak Dani. Yeah, so the good news is that we are here, hopefully in a perfectly healthy condition, and we are very fortunate to have a smart and beautiful lady as our speaker for tonight, the 17th edition of English Club's sharing session. She is a friend of our leader, Mr. Arif Budiman, so we should extend our thanks to him for letting us have this special opportunity. Thank you, sir. A brief introduction to our tonight's speaker and first-time participant about who we are. We are the employee of BPJS Kesehatan, a government institution which manages national health insurance program in Indonesia. In our institution, some employees group themselves in a community based on specific hobby or interest. BPJS Kesehatan's English Club is a place for employees to use English in a casual setting. Miss Dena and Mr. Arif are our counselors, but I think Miss Dena didn't join us tonight, but Mr. Arif there. In this club, you get a chance to learn grammar and practice different make friends with English. We have a regular Zoominar every Thursday night, and the sessions are delivered by internal employee or local and foreign speakers. Now, the club has more than 500 members from all around Indonesia. Please give your applause, guys. Yay! When I said that we got a smart and beautiful lady as our speaker, you know that I'm not lying. Joining us today is a superwoman and amazing visionary. Miss So is our for tonight's session. I wish you student in the Department of Chemistry at Georgia State University. Good morning at Atlanta, Miss. So how should we address you? Miss Ying, are you with us?
Oh, yes.
How should we address you for tonight?
So you can just call me in.
Oh, okay, Miss Ying then. Okay, so we have.
Okay, just call me in.
All right. Okay, we have Ying here and for her presentation live from Atlanta, USA. Give a round of applause for Miss Ying. She will be giving a presentation titled Rapid, User-Friendly, and Inexpensive Detection of the HIV Drug Azidothymidine. In Indonesia, we know this azidothymidine by its generic name, zidovudine, and we have 4 dosage forms in market. It's widely used as one of HIV infection first-line regimen. Are you not familiar with the topic? That's fine, tonight's presentation is also a great opportunity to familiarize ourselves with academic English, which is a genre of English used in the world of research study and universities. Now let's get down to business. As the Indonesian proverb says, tak kenal maka tak sayang. If we don't know Miss Ying, then we can probably love her more. So allow me to explain our speaker's profile and maybe CV. Please help me to start the screen sharing, Saldi. While waiting Saldi to do the screen sharing, I'll read the profile of Miss Ying Luo. Miss Ying here is a native of China, is a Ph.D. student in the Department of Chemistry at Georgia State University. Her research focuses on developing inexpensive, user-friendly devices that could be used for doctors and patients at clinical offices, low-resource areas, and homes. Before joining GSU, Ying earned her bachelor's degree in pharmaceutical engineering from the Hefei University of Technology in China. I hope my pronunciation here is not wrong. As a fourth PhD student, Ying has worked on 6 research projects, published 1 paper at Analytical and Bioanalytical Chemistry, and co-authored 1 working paper. She received the MBD fellowships from GSU for her academic excellence from 2019 till now. Amazing, right? As a teaching assistant at GSU, another wow, she teaches undergraduate students in a general chemistry lab. Her future goals include working as a chemist in the pharmacy industry or teaching as a professor in the university. And I'll type the email to if you want to reach Miss Ying. Wait, please give me a moment. Yeah, on the chat, you will see the email of Miss Ying. So if you want to reach her, you can contact her by email. So wait, is the Saldi? Saldi, are you there?
Yeah, Nancy, I'm here.
Later, I'll trust the screen sharing to you, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
Before Miss Ying's session, let me inform all the attendees 2 things. First, we are going to have interactive discussion or question and answer after Miss Ying's session. But I'd like to say to you, Miss Ying, if you prefer to have the discussion during your session, that's also okay. Second, in the end of our meeting, we ask your help, Ms. Ying, to choose 2 best participants based on their liveliness in the discussion. So, okay, for Ying, the time 30 minutes ahead are all yours to do your presentation.
Thank you, Nancy, for the kindly introduction. So Let me see if I can share my screen.
Please prepare your questions, guys. Remember, two best participants will get a really exciting gift from the cruise. You really won't want to miss it.
Oh, I may have some problem by sharing the Zoom with my screen, so it may take a
Maybe.
few minutes, I think. Yeah.
Or maybe you can
Yeah.
send your slides
To you mean?
To me, actually. Yeah, you can directly to me.
Don't worry, Miss Ying. Please take your time. We have still a long way tonight. We only for 5 minutes.
So, I think I will leave the meeting and then re-enter again to allow the computer to share the screen. So I will just quickly leave and come back. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just take your time.
So see, while we are waiting for Miss Ying to join us again, I'll continue to greet some new faces tonight. Maybe wait, the one who opened her or his
Yeah, I think this time should work.
Oh, Miss Ying already joined us. That's quite quick.
Yeah. So, guys, can you see my screen now?
Yes, it's fine. That's good.
Okay. Okay. So, thank you again for Nancy and Arif for the kind introduction. So, today I probably will talking about something about the science. Hope it's not too complicated to you guys. I know you are trying to learn in English. So, so I will try my best to explain things as simple as possible. And also feel free to ask any question at any time, okay? So, let me see how to, okay.
Ying, are you turn off your camera in purpose, or we cannot see you? We cannot see you.
Oh, you cannot see me.
Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe your camera.
Can you see me now?
There we go. Yes.
Yeah. I stopped the video by accidentally, so. All right, so can we start it now?
Yes, Miss Ying, the time and virtual place is all yours.
Okay, so today I'm going to talk about a topic about my research work. It's called rapid, user-friendly, and inexpensive detection of the HIV drug Azidothymidine. So we usually call it AZT. I'm not sure, have you heard of it or not? But it's an HIV drug commonly used in the HIV treatment. So we are talking about the HIV drug. So first, we probably need to know something more about the HIV and AIDS. I think you guys probably have heard of this kind of words so many times in your daily life, but do you know what's the detail about this disease? So for the HIV, it's called human immunodeficiency virus. It's a virus that will attack the body's immune system. So if it's not treated, it can lead to AIDS called acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. And globally, the globally HIV and AIDS statistics is mentioned that about 79.3 million people have been infected with the HIV since the start of the epidemic. And until now, there are still 37.7 million people globally are living with HIV, and 73% of them are assessing the antiretroviral therapy. So now, there is no cure and no vaccine for this disease. But if we can afford effective HIV treatment, it can be well controlled. So to get an effective HIV treatment, we have to mention about HAART. It's the most successful treatment for the HIV called highly active antiretroviral therapy. So it's a customized cocktail treatment. So like the cocktail, you will mix different alcohols into 1 cup, right? So here we will use minimum of 2 antiretroviral drugs in the same treatment to help to cure people. And this figure is trying to help you to have a better feeling about the impact of the HAART. So it's the chance in annual rate of deaths due to the HIV infection in the United States from 1987 to 2015. So in the y-axis, it's the deaths per 100,000 populations. So it means that for each 100,000 populations, how many of the deaths because of the HIV infection, and the x-axis is the year from 1987 to 2015. So we can see that at the beginning, at the first time when we find out what is the HIV and AIDS, and then from 1987 to 1995, before the HAART has been introduced, the deaths of people keep increasing every year. But once this treatment has been introduced, we can see that that number of people died because of the HIV decreased dramatically in a few years, and then keep decreasing and stay at a very low baseline. So we can see that because of this treatment, it changed the AIDS from a fatal diagnosis to a chronic managed disease. By using this kind of treatment, it can decrease the HIV viral load, and also it can reduce the viral resistance. And so finally, it can improve the quality of life for patients. So, trying to find a laser point. Okay, so we know that this kind of treatment is a very effective treatment. And then, so how to make this HAART work effectively? We need to monitor the adherence. It's very important for this treatment. So the adherence is also called patient compliance. It describes the degree that a patient can correctly follow the medical device. So if we have a strict adherence for this treatment, we can use this one to determine the treatment success. And also we can with the strict adherence, we can reduce the new infections, mortality, and drug resistance. So the current method to monitor the adherence is part of them is patient self-reporting, pill counting, or electronic drug monitoring. So this kind of monitoring method is kind of unreliable because it depends on the patient itself to report whether they take the drug or not. And also they will count how many drugs the patient have take based on they open the bottle of the drug or close it. But sometimes we are not sure whether they have the drug or not. So it's kind of unreliable. And also another part of the method is using some expensive instrument like the HPLC. It's called the high performance liquid chromatography. So it's a kind of analytical instrument to measure about the drug concentration, and also mass spectroscopy or ELISA. So this kind of method, they will require very expensive instrument, and also they will need a very they need well-trained expertise. So in here, a rapid and user-friendly, inexpensive method is required for the adherence monitoring. That's why we want to, we have an urgent need to design a method to monitor the adherence for the HIV treatment. So in here, we pick the model we use for the adherence monitoring is called AZT, this HIV drug. Why we chose this drug? So this is the structure, the structure for this drug. We can see that it's an antiretroviral drug commonly used in the HAART treatment, especially in developing countries. And also, it has a unique functional group in here. So usually, it's not present in human body. So if we can detect the human body, detect the AZT from the human body, it means that they have to take this drug. So they cannot produce by themselves. So once the HIV patient have take this drug, so 74% of them will be converted into this compound called GZDV, and then they will be exactly excreted in urine. But we can see compare these two structures, we can clearly see that we still have this functional group, the Azide group in the GZDV. And also another 14% of the AZT will directly be excreted in the urine. So in this way, we know that most of the AZT, even though they were excreted in the urine, they still have the functional group we needed for the detection. So if we can detect the concentration of the Azide group in the urine, we know how many of the AZT has been consumed into the body. And then we can, based on this data, we can correlate it to the adherence. So this is why we chose AZT as the model to monitor the HAART adherence. But the common method for the HIV detection is using the ELISA. But this kind of method, it always requires a specific antibody for the AZT. But AZT here, we can, based on the previous slide, we can see that it's a very small structure. So it's a small molecule. It's not able to generate the antibody by itself. So it's not immunogenic. So the common method we used to generate a antibody specific for AZT is need to take the following steps. The first one, they need to combine this small molecule, this blue one, with a carrier protein, a larger protein. And then they need to inject it into the animal, and the antibody then will be produced. But the antibody produced by the animal usually will have different kind of antibody. So it's not one. They will have some antibody specific for the AZT, and also they will have some antibody specific for the carrier protein, is this part. And also they will have some antibody against the linker, which is the linker between the small molecule and the carrier protein. And also they may have an antibody for the combination of these three. So it will always require another separation to purify these antibodies. So they will need to take another several steps to finally get a pure antibody for this AZT. So it's quite complicated, right? And it's real, we can see that it's really time consuming. So the production, so it's not only, if it's time consuming, we know of course it will be very expensive. So our method in here, we're trying to find out something more simple and inexpensive. So our design is that we will have a probe in the solution. And if we have the sample, for example, the urine from the patient and containing AZT, we can just add the sample into the probe, mix them, and then waiting for like 5 minutes, it will quickly go, they will quickly react with each other, and then generate the fluorescent product. So we can quickly see them by our eyes or detect by a simple instrument. So it's called an add, mix, and measure fluorometric assay. So to let this approach work, we have designed 3 different kind of probes in here. So first we designed the first probe, hopefully it can generate the fluorescent part in here. And then we find out that, wow, it really can detect the AZT very, very quickly. But we want to keep going to improve this one, since the water solubility is not really good, which means this probe is not very easy to directly dissolve in the water. So we're trying to synthesize the second probe, which have this part is called PEG linker. So by introducing this linker into this compound, the ability to dissolve in water will be increased. And then we find out that it did increase the water solubility, but and then we are thinking, can we detect the level of the AZT much lower so that our detection will be more sensitive? So then we further design this third probe with another structure. So this time they are going to react with each other through a different reaction. So basically, these 2 are using the same reaction, and this is the different one. And after we have this kind of design, we synthesize these molecules and then characterized by the NMR and mass spectroscopy to make sure that we did have successfully synthesized this compound. And then we start to check whether it can truly be using to detect the AZT. So our first strategy for the probe 1 and probe 2 is having these two probes mixed with the AZT, and then through a Staudinger ligation reaction, they will quickly generate the fluorescent probe and the fluorescent product in a very quickly. So this picture shows the generation of the fluorescent signal. So we can see that at the beginning for the probe 1 is by itself, and the probe 1 and AZT, for both of them, there's no very significant color in here. But after 16 minutes, we can see that the probe 1 itself is still not too much of the signal, but for the probe 1 and AZT, we can see a strong fluorescent signal has been generated. So it's very clear that once the AZT appears, we can directly see the fluorescence. And we also, but this is just seeing by your eyes. So we are thinking we need to something more convincing. So we detect the fluorescent signal by the instrument. And the percent RFU is a unit using to represent the fluorescence intensity. So we mix our probe with different concentration of the AZT. So this is mean more of the AZT, 500 micromolar, and then they keep decreasing. And the last one is owning the probe by itself. So we detect at different time points. So every 13 minutes, we will detect the fluorescent signal. We can see that for the probe 1 mixing with AZT 500 micromolar, the fluorescent signal will keep increasing when the time increasing. And also for the rest of the parts, different concentration of the AZT, they also will follow the same pattern. But because the AZT concentration is lower, so the fluorescence signal they can generate it will decreasing a bit. But for the probe by itself, the purple column, it will always stay on the baseline, so stay at a very low level. So in here, we can see that we can use this probe 1 to detect AZT. And also, we pick the data point at 120 minutes, it's 2 hours. So we pick the data points in 2 hours and plot this figure to trying to figure out what's the lowest amount of AZT we can detect by using this system. And then we find out that if we use 125 micromolar of this probe, the probe 1, to detect AZT, the lowest level we can reach is about 33 micromolar in 120 minutes. But we want to keep improve the water solubility for this probe. So we synthesize this probe 2 and then did similar assay experiment for this probe 2. And we find out that it's very similar when the probe 2 mixed with different concentration of the AZT, the fluorescent signal will keep increasing. And for the probe by itself, it will stay on a baseline. And we also plot this calibration curve to calculate what's the lowest concentration we can achieve. And so finally, we find out that the lowest concentration is also called the limit of detection for the AZT by using the probe 2 was 189 micromolar. So in here, we can see that we can improve the water solubility for this compound, but also the detection limit is increasing because we are trying to have the ability to detect a very low level of the AZT. So we are thinking, can we find out another method that can get a stronger signal so that we can detect a lower level of the AZT? So that's why we designed this probe 3 by using another reaction called Azide-alkyne Huisgen cycloaddition. So the azide is this part, the functional group of the AZT, and the alkyne. Is the internet lost?
No, you sound perfectly for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just see that everybody disappeared in the screen. So okay, so let's keep going. And so for this reaction name is combined the azide group of the AZT, and the alkyne is this part. So once they meet with each other, they will directly generate this kind of ring and then have the fluorescence. So it's quite interesting, right? So after that, we find out that, wow, this time the probe 3 can generate the fluorescent signal very quickly. So even after 5 minutes, we can see a very strong signal. So in here, we also compare the fluorescent signal by using our eyes under the handheld UV light. So we can see that after 20 minutes, the probe 3 mixed with the AZT will generate a strong fluorescent signal. And also, when we detect the fluorescent signal by using an instrument, we find out that it's more clear that the signal can generate very quickly, and then after 20 minutes, this reaction have already done. So we can see that the signal, it's already achieved a plateau. It's not increasing anymore. And then we calculate again the limit of detection and find out that this time it can go to just a micromolar of it can detect the AZT, and it can using a less of the concentration of the probe, because for previous one we will need approximately 100 micromolar of the probe 1 and 2. But this time, by using this probe, we just need 10 times less of the amount. And then we can detect a much lower level of the AZT. So it uses less concentration, a rapid reaction time, and then the lower LOD. So then we are thinking to use to detect the probe 3. So previously we detected in 10% of DMSO to water. So it's a water system. We just want to first make the life simple. And then since we find out that, Arif, you have a question?
Mr. Arif just raised his hand. Are you want to answer the question, sir?
Yeah, I almost give up to watch your presentation. No, I mean, this is very interesting, Ying. It sounds very complicated for me as non-chemical people. I try to thinking hard to focus on your presentation, but my question is it still running? I mean, is this your current project, or is it just done? And
it's done.
It's done.
I have finished it. Yes.
Oh wow, great! Congratulations. So is it? We can say that now we have a very simple checking for HIV. Is that right? Or so I'm trying to jump to the conclusion.
Okay, so I think we can just quickly go to the conclusion instead of having this. So this is this one you may have a more clear data. So this is the AZT concentration in the urine of the HIV patient. So this is their concentration usually will be 940 micromolar to 3.1 millimolar. So this is the lowest concentration. So I set up in here as a standard. And these are by using our probe, how low we can go. So we can see very clearly that by using these three kind of different probe, we can very easily to detect the AZT in the patient's urine. So this is the final result about it. So I will skip this one since it's too complicated for you, but we can just quickly compare our method is the last three, and the first four column is other people's method. So we can see that their method, sometimes they are not able to detect such low level, and sometimes they can detect this level, but they will require more complicated or expensive instrument. But for our method, we can detect at a very low level, but we do not need very complicated instrument, so we can just easily add them, mix them, and then see the signal. So this assay just shows a proof of concept that we can develop a rapid, user-friendly, and inexpensive method to monitor the adherence, so that we know whether the patient take the drug or not. If we know they take the drug, so we know that they have a strict, we will say they have a strict adherence for this treatment. So it means their treatment will be more successful. And also we are thinking maybe we can use this kind of method to detect other drug to monitor other drug in other therapeutics, especially in the resource limited area. Yeah, so yeah, it's all about it. Sorry, I'm talking too much about the detail about the result. It may make you feel complicated, but yeah, it's all about this my research work I have done, and we have published this work at the Journal of the Analytical and Bioanalytical Chemistry in this year, at the beginning of this year. Yeah. Okay, so do you have any questions about this?
All right, the presentation session is over already, Ms. Ying. So thank you so much for the amazing presentation and your knowledge sharing. Please give your applause, guys. Yay! Next, we'll move to question and answer. If any of you would like to contribute to the discussion, please use the raise hand emoji. Don't forget, Ying will choose 2 best participants tonight. You are also welcome to ask anything out of her slides, like Ying's life, her story, how to get to the school, to the university, etc. Okay, let's begin tonight's discussion. Maybe the screen sharing could be stopped.
Oh,
so
yeah, I think we can stop.
The participants. Yeah, there are already 3 people who raised her hand. First is Miss Vika from Palembang. She's the co-host actually, but she asked. Okay, Miss Vika, the time is yours. Okay, well, thank you. Oh my God, it's an amazing presentation. Miss Ying, I'm from Palembang, South Sumatra. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
May I ask you? May I ask your opinion out of your presentation, Miss?
Sure.
Actually, frankly speaking, I'm not from medical department in BPJS Kesehatan, but I was so excited to listen to your material. What I'm going to say is that would you mind tell us your opinion about some negative stigma to the HIV or AIDS survivor, Miss Ying? Thank you. Okay, so we have this question. She asked about the negative stigma that people with HIV AIDS got from her environment, especially the HIV AIDS survivor. This is the first question. Does Ying would like to answer it directly or hear another questions from the participants?
Sorry, could you say that again, or maybe you can type in the chat box about the question, because the internet is kind of lost.
Oh,
so I cannot hear the question very clearly.
Okay, I will chat. Wait.
Maybe while waiting, we can go to the next question.
I have write it down. So we'll collect 3 questions for the first session of the discussion, then ask Ms. Ying to answer it consecutively. Then the second question is from Mr. SP. Mr. SP, please.
Yep. Hello, Miss Ying.
Hey.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Mr. Arif. I'm so sorry. I'm going to ask Mr. Ying. Actually, it's a fascinating topic for me because my background is also pharmacist, and yeah, I still remember those molecules, and yeah, sometimes in the lab, we kill those mice for our task. When I was in college, I had a special task of making report of HIV patients in a hospital, but it's only monitoring the improvement of patient for a month to see whether the patient have an improvement after taking antiretroviral. So I think it's related with my experience with your presentation. But my questions are why do some people not want to test for HIV? I think there's some many reasons about that. Maybe scared for the result and they want to take a medication, or they don't want to lose their partner. But what do you think, especially in my country, is still lack testing of HIV. So what do you suggest us, what we have to do to raise the public awareness for HIV testing? And in your research, do you use human in your research, or only use animals?
Actually, for us, we just we are not using real sample.
Okay.
So because if to get a real sample is you will need a very many of the process to get the real sample. So we just buy the HIV drug AZT, and then we will use a simulated urine. It's an artificial urine to mimic the real urine sample, so that we know our method can detect it, but we are not using any real sample to detect it.
Okay, so we can conclude that urine test can detect HIV very soon?
Actually, it's not the detection of the HIV.
Oh,
It's
but
detect. I think it's more related to what you just mentioned, the antiretroviral therapy.
Mhm.
So we detect whether the patient have the drug or not, and then another way we will see whether his the disease of the progression is getting better or it's getting worse. So we know that because we know if you follow the doctor's instruction, you need take the drug every day and you will have a better treatment, right? So by using that, it's kind of helping the doctor to know whether the patient take the drug or not, and whether the drug still helpful for the treatment, or the patient need to change to use another drug to get a better treatment. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, so our method in here is just detect the drug. But what we are working on, we also, in our research group, we were also working on trying to find out some method to help you quickly detect the HIV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So maybe later you can answer about what we have to do to raise public awareness to HIV testing. Thank you so much. Miss Ying.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nancy.
You're welcome.
Okay, Miss Ying, so we have 2 questions already from Mr. Sketchy actually asked question. And Miss Vika already 1 question from the chat. Do you want to answer these 2 questions first? I think I will do some recap from Miss Vika. She asked about your opinion about the negative stigma for HIV AIDS survivor. And then from Mr. SP, he asked why people tend quite afraid to get tested for HIV AIDS, and what is your suggestion to raise the public awareness to get tested? Please, Miss Ying.
Okay, so for Vikar's question, right, is talking about the stigma to the HIV AIDS survivor. I think this one, since that we know the HIV has been has living with us for more than since the 1987, so it will be more than 50 years, right? 40 or 50 years. So I think people keep we already know a lot about the HIV since we know more about it. We know that if we can protect, have some correct protection, it's not able to be infected by the HIV. So I think that people will have more tolerance, and also people are getting friendly for those HIV survivors. I think more of them will just, you don't need to feel shamed or something else. It's just, for me, for my personal feeling, I will feel that, oh my God, they need more care, and we need to, they need more attention. We need to help them as much as we can to get a better life, right? So I think it probably is most people's feelings. So I don't think you need to feel like stigma. It doesn't really have to. Yeah. It's just, yeah. So I hope I can kind of answer your question in some aspect.
Yes, thank you, Miss Ying. What a superb answer. Any feedback from Miss Vika?
No. Thank you, Miss Ying.
yeah, people live in modern life, so we become more open-minded. And the next question
Yeah.
from Mr. SP about why people tend to not get tested for HIV, and your suggestion, Ying, about how to raise public awareness.
Oh, yeah. So talking about this question, I think the things we can do maybe is have some this kind of popular science topic to trying to help them know more about this disease and let them know how let them know more about this HIV and AIDS and the importance. If you text early, you can have the treatment early, and it's much more possible you will be cured and come back to a normal life, because nowadays we already have many different kind of HIV drug, and even though we cannot cure this disease completely, but we can well control it if you keep testing it, because we know that this disease, the viral load, so at the beginning it will decrease, increasing very dramatically, and then if you have a very good treatment for the HIV by combining several drugs, then the viral load will decreasing, and after a period of time for the treatment, it can stay at a very low level, and then the patient can go back and to have a common life. So for nowadays, I think we need to let more and more people know about this kind of truth, because they just afraid to get a test, and because they think if they get a positive, then everyone will leave them, right? It's their concern about it, but actually, as family or friends, what we'll do is more possibly we will try to support them, to help them, right? So it's kind of, I think for us, we can do is to first let them know it's better for your health, and we will always be here with you. So maybe it will be helpful. Yeah, so that's my answer.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Ying. The second, maybe any feedback from Mr. SP? Okay, I think that's good. So we still have time. We could move to the second session of the discussion. We have Miss Made Julie Randri raise her hand, and Finicha. So these two people will be the last one to ask the question. Yeah, please, Miss Julie, the time is yours.
Thank you, Miss Nancy. Hello, good evening, Miss Ying. I'm Julie. Nice to meet you.
Good evening. Nice to meet you too.
Okay, it's really nice to listen to your presentations. It's quite thought and heavy topic for tonight, but yeah, I still can listen to it and enjoying it until you explain about probe. It was like long time ago on our high school when we learned about probe, right?
So it's like a chemistry class, right?
It's like a chemistry class when you explain about probe, because if you explain about HIV, it's like a common thing. It's like a public, yeah, it's a common thing for us. So, but thank you anyway for sharing about your research. This is really new for us. And as we know, in Indonesia, we only know about the commonly methods to detecting the drugs of the HIV patients, like what you mentioned before. It's ELISA or pill counting or report from the patients, or even the traditional method, like the nurse still coming to the patient's house to visit, or just to see or to asking about if they are already taking the drugs, something like that. So in Indonesia, in some city, we still using this kind of methods. But in the like more like modern city, we still use the ELISA and all those things you mentioned before. But as you say, that is expensive and unreliable if we do it in long term, right? So
Yeah.
this is really like a breakthrough, you know. It's a congratulations for your research. Like this is not just for US, but you can use it for around the world, right? Even you
Yeah.
can, yeah, as you said, you use for another drugs. Like, oh, I was thinking about the tuberculosis drugs. How about to use this for tuberculosis drugs, right? Because the compliance of patients in tuberculosis also as hard as HIV patients, is as hard as HIV patients.
Mm-hmm.
And then my questions is other than talking about AZT, I was talking about the ARV drugs, especially in US. Have the treatment has failed before, like, or if patients have ARV drugs in USA usually, are they even failed on the drugs and then they become dying, or they in charge the hospital? What does the factor in USA for people who are consume the drugs but and then they failed? Like what is the factor in USA? Like because as we know, USA is a very modern country. So is there any possible thing that someone who consume ARV still failed, like for the medications? And then the second thing is when people consume the AZT and then checking for the urine, like what you mentioned before, how long does it take? Like if someone take the drug now, or they can check it immediately for the rapid test, or they check it like another hours, or they check it in the tomorrow morning. So how long the term will be? Like if they eat the drugs now, when should we check? Or they can check it immediately, or something more longer time? Okay, I think that's my questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Julie. So if I may conclude Julie's question, there are two questions. The first one is maybe about the side effects of taking antiretroviral drugs in USA. If ever any patients got a great, harmful side effects, even dying because of those side effects. And then the second one is how long the zidovudine therapy needed for it to be detected in the urine or excreted to the urine. And the next one, we will we will pending the answer first. Next, we move to the question from Miss Finica.
I think I can quickly answer Julia's question.
Okay.
You want to answer it directly? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Sorry, Finica. Later you could ask your question.
Yeah, because I think it's really a good question, and I'm glad you're thinking this kind of question is an expertise question. So sometimes when we talking about this, when I do the presentation for the professor or some of my colleagues, they may also ask this kind of question. So I think it's quite interesting. And so I'm glad you are thinking in this kind of way. Yeah. And so we know that once you take the drug, it always takes some time for your body to first digest it, and then if they want to absorb it, they will absorb it. If not, it will excrete it by your body, right? So usually it will take hours, a few hours. So like at least 1 or 2 hours. But the concentration of the AZT will stay for a few hours for you to monitor it. So usually if we want to apply this method in our real life, the doctor may suggest the patient, like after because every day you need to take the drug several times, right? And then the drug will stay in your urine for several hours. So they will give the doctor probably will give them the instruction after taking the drug for how long, like 1 hour or 2 hours, you can take a small part of your urine, and then just simply, maybe we will put our probe in a small vial, and you just add 1 drop, and you can see the color change, or you can take a picture and send it to your doctor, and they will told you whether it's good or not, and they will directly get the information about based on the picture you send it to them. So this is our following plan if we want to apply this method to the real life. Yeah. So and also you're talking about anyone so take the AZT and then but they still get the failed treatment, right?
Yeah.
Of course, there will always have this kind of example because even though in the US it's a modern country, as you mentioned, but we know that so far there is no a very perfect drug for the HIV treatment. This is why we nowadays the most useful treatment is the HAART. So it's kind of a combination of several drugs for the treatment. So of course there will have some failure, but maybe less because in the US they have more of the facility and more of the instrument and patients to detect for them, and people may more willing to be detect about like their HIV viral load or their drug concentration. So because they can follow the doctor's instruction, they have the ability to test the concentration of the drug and the viral. So it's better for the doctor to change their treatment based on the result. So I think there will be much less failure in here, but it still will have, definitely.
Yeah, I got it. Thank you also because I was want to asking you about the HAART.
RT, yes.
What's the difference with the ART? Because in here we commonly with ART, but
yeah, actually they are the same thing.
Kind of drugs, yeah.
Yeah, they are the same thing. Yeah, it's just a different name.
Then.
Yeah.
Okay, then I got it.
And Mother Julie. Next, I need to ask permission from Ms. Ying. Can we have the third session of discussion? There are 2 people raise her hand, Ms. Vinica and Ms. Liza Anissa.
Sure.
Have both of them. We will have both of them to ask the question. Please, Vinica. Thank you for waiting.
Okay, it's okay. Hello, Ms. Ying. How are you doing? Actually, what I want to ask has been previously introduced by Ms. Made. It's about this method that quite cheap or inexpensive and easy to find out the adherence of the patient in taking the HIV medication, if I'm not mistaken. And so my question is, does this method can be also a tool or examination for other diseases like what Ms. Mari said before, like TBC maybe? Because, you know, in Indonesia, the TBC patient is still increased by year. That's all, maybe.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Vinica. Let's move to the second question from Miss Liza Anissa. Are you there? Okay, please, Miss Liza, ask your question.
Okay, thank you, Miss Nancy and Miss Ying. Nice to meet you, Miss Ying.
Nice to meet you too.
First of all, I want to introduce myself. My name is Liza. I'm from Pati, Central Java. I want to ask a question, and the question is, all HIV-infected pregnant women should be offered in antiretroviral therapy to reduce prenatal transmission. In Indonesia, they usually are prescribed zidovudine, and could this method of zidovudine detection be used in this group of patients and give a desirable outcome maybe? That's all my question. I'm sorry if my English was not good, but I hope you understand my question. Thank you.
Yeah, we got your question, Miss Liza. Don't worry, all of us are still learning. From Miss Vinica, the question is maybe the method to detect the adherence of other chronic disease treatment. Could it be used with your treatment, Ying? And from Miss Liza Anissa, because pregnant and HIV-infected pregnant woman was also prescribed zidovudine. Could this method of detection be used to the urine sample of pregnant women? Okay,
Yes.
please.
Yeah. So, wow, you guys asked very good questions. So for answer Jax's question, right? Can this method be used to detect other disease like TBC, right? So of course, as I mentioned in the summary part, so in here, this research, we just show a proof concept. We show that we have the ability to use this kind of method to detect the drug, and also we think, and it's very possible we can use a similar method to detect other drug, because usually the drug will have their specific functional group. Like a part of them, they will have a unique reaction with some kind of probes. So for other disease, the drug for other disease, we can also, based on their specific structure, we can find out a reaction and then design another probe to detect this kind of disease. So this will be our following work, actually.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Ying.
So for Lisa's question, right? Can this method be used for the to detect the urine for the pregnant women, right? Is that your question?
Yes.
Yes, of course. There is no difference between the pregnant women's urine or the other patient's urine. Maybe in the pregnant woman's urine, they will have some specific hormone in their urine, maybe, but or other things because they are in a specific situation. But if following, we want to use this method for the pregnant woman, it's very easy. We can just to the next step, we can have some real sample from them and detect it. So usually it will not have too much of influence. Yeah, that's my answer about Lisa's question.
Okay, thank you, Miss Ying.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ying. Maybe because no other people raise her hand, we still have time to answer one question. I think it's from the chat. Miss Ying, you could choose one question from the chat that you would like to answer.
Wow, I think we got a lot of questions from the chat box.
Yeah, you're popular tonight.
Let me see.
Please choose one, Ying.
Okay.
Or do you want to answer all of them?
Yeah, I'm trying to looking through the question. So from the top,
The top one is
what's
Miss
the
Dinja. From Miss Dinja.
Oh,
Maybe-
I have answered that, right?
Yeah,
No.
maybe I read the question. Miss Ying, nice to
Thinker.
meet you. My name is Dinja from Jambi.
Oh.
May I ask you about what's
Oh,
considered a serious long-term side effect of antiretroviral therapy, especially zidovudine? Thank you.
for the side effect, I do not have too much of study about this part, but as far as I know about the zidovudine, usually now it's keep using in the developing country, but like in the US, because they have a lot of side effects, so people have already, actually they have trying to find out other drug for the HIV treatment. So probably it's because they have some kind of side effects that people feel not comfortable with it. Yeah. So for the next one.
The next one is from Miss Nur Fitriani. Miss Ying, I'm so curious. Are there any related studies that show the efficacy of AZT compared to other antiretroviral drugs in suppressing CD4 value?
Yeah, I think you definitely, if you search about some research paper, there definitely have some people compare different kind of HIV drug. Yeah, most of them will suppress the CD4 value because it's the CD4 value is highly correlated with the viral load. So I think there will be you definitely can find out some study about this kind of comparison.
Okay, for the third one, from Mr. Dani Saputro, Ying, this treatment medication AZT is like just boost immune or kill the virus permanently. If this treatment can boost immune to fight HIV virus, is there a possible this treatment can be used for diseases like Kawasaki disease, which cause formed virus too? Well, complex question. Yeah. This one is from my leader at the office.
It's a good question, actually. I'm very surprised you will ask this kind of question. So it's to answering about this question. I think we need to go back to the mechanism of how the AZT works. So the base. Okay, I will try to explain it as simple as possible. So the AZT is a kind of, we know that the HIV is a virus, right? So the virus, they need to have their function to affect human body. They need to generate more and more of the virus, right? And then destroy your immune system. So to generate more and more of the virus, they need to generate a lot of the RNA sequence, because for the generation of a virus, they use RNA instead of DNA. So they need to keep generate a lot of the RNA sequence. But in the generation of the RNA, if you go back and compare the structure of the AZT and the I'm not sure if you have the knowledge about the composition of the RNA or DNA. We know that it's kind of composite by a different kind of small structure, like anyway, so it's like a small molecule that can they will stacking together and generate a chain about the gene, right? And then the AZT, it's a very similar structure as the small molecule, but it has a part of it is different. This is the azide group we are using for our detection. So since it has the unique group, the gene will no longer be generated again. It will just stop the duplication of the RNA. So in this way, so I will say that it's kind of a way to kill the virus. So it's not related to the boost of immune, but it's related to directly stop the generation of the virus. But because it can stop the generation of the DNA or RNA, so sometimes it may affect the generation of the DNA for your own body. So that's why it can introduce some side effects.
Okay, we got it, Ying. The other question from the chat from Nurfianti. Does the pregnant women with HIV can prevent infection to her baby with azidothymidine treatment? Yeah, I think all of us already know the answer, actually.
Does the pregnant? Yeah, I think we almost answered it, right?
Yeah. It's actually prescribed.
Actually, it's not prevent the infection. So it's just the detection of the drug to help you to get a better treatment result, if possible.
Okay, the last one, Ying, from your friend, Mr. Arif asks, could you tell us briefly how can you get to the US, why you choose GSU, and what is your plan after get your PhD? Are you going back to China or start your career in Indonesia?
Yeah, if Indonesia has a good position, I definitely will think about going to there. Why not? So how can I go to the US? I think it's just we know that the United States have one of the almost the best opportunity or the research environment all over the world. So this is why I want to go to the US and to clearly see how they are working and how they do research about this kind of work. So why do I choose GSU? Because my husband is also, he was a GSU's PhD student also. So we want to stay together. So I chose this university. Yeah. And what's my plan after getting a PhD? I think after I graduate, I will go back to China and find a job, maybe be a professor in the university or maybe find a position in the industry as a chemist, biochemist. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Arif?
Of course, Ying. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I think that's all for tonight's discussion. That was fantastic. Thank you so much, Ying. But sadly, we have no more time left. Another round of applause for Miss Ying, please. Yay.
Thank you.
It's been such a pleasure for us hanging out with you, Miss. We got a lot done today. So many participants, so many questions in the live question and in the chat. And thank you so much for your time and patience. I personally enjoyed your session and wish all the best to you. Hopefully we can meet again in the other opportunity.
Nancy?
Yes?
You forget to ask the speaker for choosing the best participant.
Yeah, after this, I want to ask about that. Before we really end this meeting, as I told you before, Ying, would you mind to announce who the two best participants are? Besides Fika, besides two, yes. Besides the first questioner, please.
Okay. So, so maybe I will choose the two I have. The question I'm most interested in is Julia and Jessica.
I'm sorry?
Julia.
Yeah,
Julia.
One is Julie, Made Julie, and the second one?
Jaxay. And hope I have the pronunciation correct.
Inisa, maybe.
Jaxay.
About how to detect the adherence to other chronic disease treatment?
Yes, I think.
Is it in the chat? There's someone, Jaksal Finica. Is it the correct username that you intend to? Finica, are you still there? Yes, I'm here. Yeah, I'm still here. Is he the one? Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, congrats, Miss Julie and Miss Finica, to won the best participant for tonight's session. Yay!
Thank you. 谢谢 Miss Ying.
Thank you, Ying.
Thank you guys for participating.
You deserve interesting tips from the club. Later, the club's crew will talk to you. Well, the last is picture time. Please turn on your camera, guys, because we'll take some pictures. I'll switch it to the gallery mode. The one for the one who hasn't opened his or her camera, please open it up because we'll do the photo session. Salvi, could you help me do the screen share? Okay. For the first pose, you're free to do any pose you like. Are you ready? I'll counting down. 3, 2, 1. Stay put, stay still. Zali will do the screenshot and it takes 3 pages.
Okay, done. Second round.
Okay, done. The second round, please do our signature pose. Our signature English club pose is putting 2 of your fingers on your temple of your head like this. Please do it, guys. Are you ready? We'll take the pose. 3, 2, and 1. Stay still, stay put. After we screenshot it. Done, Saldi?
Yes, complete.
Okay, thank you, guys. Thanks, everyone, for coming. This was a fascinating discussion. We just reached the end of our meeting today. Before closing, I have a poem here. Roses are red, violets are blue. Today's session was great, and so were you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And my regards to your husband and your
Thank
puppy.
you.
Thank you,
Nancy.
Thank you, host.
Host.
You're a great host.
So hectic today, yeah. Around 50 participants. And
wow, yeah.
Great job.
The record.
Ying,
I
show me your puppy, Ying. Do you still have your puppy? Your dog?
What?
Your puppy.
Oh, you want to see him?
Yeah, show us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Show us.
Show us, please.
Show us your puppy too, Mas Rian.
Ew.
Whoa.
Here you go.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh,
who is
cute.
that?
Oh my God.
I see a cute
Wow,
baby.
cute.
What's its name?
Toto.
Toto.
Toto, hi Toto.
Toto.
Yeah,
I
you
thought
don't
it
know
was
where is the
Alibaba.
camera, so.
Hey, puppy.
It's not a male, sayang.
Okay. Hi, Popo.
You cannot find out where is the camera, so.
Okay.
Camera speech.
All right, Ying. Thank you for your time. Hope to
Sure,
see
no
you.
problem. Yeah, see you
Bye.
next time. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, everybody. Take care.